Hey everybody, it's Brandon Soriano here in the back room at Norman's Rare Guitars for an all-new episode of Guitar of the Day, and we have one today that I'm just absolutely freaking out about. Honestly, when Norm bought this the other day, my heart started pounding, and I love this guitar. So I'm going to talk a lot about it, just a little fair warning to you at home. So I'm going to stop talking now so I can go back and talk about the guitar. It's extremely cool and very rare. First of all, look at the case. That's it. I mean, episode over. You don't need more than that. This is one of the coolest cases, this fitted tweed. Love the look of it, but what's inside is even cooler. From 2005-2006, it's a Fender custom shop Nocaster, and a very special one. If you notice that button right there, it's a Nocaster B bender. So we're going to kind of break this down and talk about it bit by bit, and we're going to ignore the B bender part to start off. Let's just talk about Nocaster. You might be thinking that looks a lot like a Telecaster, and that's because it is. What happened was Fender came out with the Broadcaster, the original version of this guitar, in 1950. And shortly thereafter, they heard from Gretsch, who had a drum kit called the Broadcaster. And Gretsch basically said, hey, rename that thing. So for a while, in 1951, Fender basically couldn't come up with a new name for the guitar. They weren't sure what to call it, but they weren't just going to stop shipping the guitars. So they took the decal up here that usually said Fender Broadcaster. They just snipped off the word Broadcaster. And so for a few months in 1951, this was simply the Fender solid body electric guitar. And later on, they became known as Nocasters because they have no name up on the headstock. So this is a custom shop relic reissue of a Nocaster as you would have seen it in 1951. As far as specs go, there's a few minor things, but the Telecaster overall has stayed pretty consistent since its release in 1950. First thing you'll notice is this bridge pickup right here. It's what we call a flat pole piece pickup. So all of these little metal magnet pole pieces that are in here are flush with one another. And on a more modern Telecaster, or even as you get later into the 50s, you'll start seeing these pole pieces be height staggered. The flat pole piece pickup has somewhat of its own characteristic to it. I actually prefer it. I think it's one of the best pickups ever made. And any early 50s Telecaster / Broadcaster reissue is going to have a flat pole piece pickup. So that's one difference. You have 3 brass saddles, which has stayed relatively the same for a long, long time, and are a classic on the Telecaster. And then moving up here, your black guard. That's why early 50s Teles Broadcasters are referred to as black guard guitars. And you got your neck single coil Tele pickup. The neck on this, it's a maple neck, and it's pretty beefy. I think a real 51 Nocaster would probably have a bigger neck than this, but I would still consider this a large neck. They just slimmed it down a little bit for the modern player. But these used to have baseball bats. They were just these huge big necks. This one is comparable. I love it. Great neck. Moving up, well actually I forgot something, and it's a big deal for tone especially. Not really, but flathead screws. They changed those to Phillips head screws also in the 50s, and the early ones have flathead screws. That's where the tone comes from, flathead screws. Alright, so now we're going to turn the guitar over and really dig in, because what's on the back, there's this little button up front. When I mentioned that it's a B bender, what's on the back is even more insane. This little button thing catches the B string, so there's a slot in the saddle, or in the bridge. It goes into there, and it comes down to that. Now this is a whole thing to talk about on its own. This is just crazy. Basically what's happening here is there's a lever on a spring that is connected to the strap button up top. And as you pull the strap button up, the lever moves on the spring, and the B string does this. Goes up a whole step. Now you can actually tune that anywhere from a half step to a minor third with this little thing right up here. Whole step is the most common tuning for the B bender, just because it's kind of the most applicable and you can do the most with it with your basic chord shapes and that kind of thing. So the story behind the B benders and how they came to be. There was a band that you might be familiar with in the 1960s and 70s called The Byrds. That's B-Y-R-D-S, The Byrds. And that's where Roger McGuinn came from. That's his band, and that's actually where David Crosby originally came from as well, was that band. But Roger McGuinn was really the only consistent member of the Byrds, and they kind of had a rotating cast otherwise throughout their career. So later 60s, like 68, they landed on this lineup that included guitar player Clarence White, who you might know. He has a Martin signature. It's like a D28 with a big sound hole. Awesome. Clarence White, and then the drummer Gene Parsons. And the story goes that they were in the studio recording one day, and Clarence was doing these things that a lot of Telecaster players do, where behind the nut he was bending notes. That kind of thing. And he made some kind of comment about like, man, I wish I had a third hand so that I could do this while playing more intricate parts. So Gene Parsons, the drummer, goes, I can do that for you. And he walks up in the studio and he starts bending it for him. Now, Gene was also an inventor and an engineer and a machinist, and so the two of them, Clarence White and Gene Parsons, decided to actually build something that would do this bendy thing for them on the guitar. And what eventually came out was the B-bender. There are versions of it that bend the G string. I've heard Gene Parsons say that he had a version that bent the high E string, but it would snap too much. It would like break the string. So they settled on the B string only. And what's extra cool about this guitar is that the B-bender on this guitar was actually installed by Gene Parsons. And Gene Parsons signed the back of the guitar, if you zoom in on there. This is just extremely cool. I mean, to find a B-bender in general is very rare. To find a custom shop Fender B-bender that was actually worked on by Gene Parsons, had the B-bender installed by the guy who invented it. I'm just nerding out. This thing is so rad. The certificate is in here. So the guitar is from 2005, as you can see, 9/14/2005, signed by Alex Nicholas from the custom shop. But the B-bender was actually installed in 2006, so that's why I'm calling it 05-06. Moving back, more flathead screws there, and the Fender custom shop logo on the back. So, whole lot to talk about on this guitar. I didn't even cover it all, but, you know, the video can't be 45 minutes long. So, with that being said, let's take the guitar out front and see if I know how to use this thing.
Let's go.
All right, here we are out front with the 2005-2006 Fender Custom Shop Nocaster B-bender. It's a mouthful. It's a great guitar. It does have a dark circuit, so we're going to start off with the dark circuit, which is getting you the neck pickup with the tone and the volume rolled off a bit. Kind of good for a jazzier sound, so I'll play something quick on there. Pretty distinct sound on that dark circuit. We're gonna hop over to the bridge pickup to start off. This is really gonna get us that twang, especially with those flat pull pieces. So we're gonna do a little Guitars Cadillacs. drop down to D for a little bit for this middle position, which is not a blend of the two pickups. The middle position is the neck pickup bypassing the tone circuit, so straight out of the output. have it. It's your 2005-2006 Fender Nocaster B-Bender, a really crazy guitar. You can find it right here at Norman's Rare Guitars. And please like and subscribe, leave a comment, follow us online, and thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.